and welcome back to Expert Talks. I'm Agathe Ducart. Today we're joined by Jean-Grégoire Manoukian, also known as JG, who will share with us a free ESG data management tips that you may be overlooking. JG, thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
Great. So JG, should we start with a few words about the importance of data management in ESG?
Yes, in ESG, data is everything. If you don't have a data management strategy, then you don't have an ESG strategy. Ultimately, it's about showing evidence that you're incorporating environmental and social factors in your business. And data is much more credible than words.
I see. It really is all about data. Well, let's get right into the tips that we want to share. But first, why do we have only three?
Yeah, we could easily do a video with 30 tips instead of 3, but we want to highlight 3 tips that are not getting enough attention. Either they are critical but still not covered enough, or they are their importance is underestimated.
Okay, so what is the first ESG data management tips that we want to share?
The first tip is to automate data quality checks through software. This applies especially to carbon emissions. Suppose you're an oil and gas company with sensors on thousands of assets and equipment throughout all your facilities. You may end up potentially with millions of air emission data records, which you will aggregate. But as the quantity of data increases, the risk of inaccurate data also increases. So there must be validations and checks to make sure that data is accurate. You don't want to see your reputation tarnished because you reported incorrect emissions data.
Okay, that sounds good, but how would a software ensure data quality?
It would do it through automated validation rules and consistency checks. For example, the distribution of data values can be checked to see if there are any outliers that may be anomalies. Also, data ranges can be verified to ensure that they correspond to what is expected based on historical values or best judgment. With thousands of pieces of equipment resulting in millions of emission data records, manually validating data is not an option. It has to be done through software that goes through all data records and flags those that require attention.
Great. Well, let's continue. What is your second ESG data management tip?
The second tip is to automate data approval workflows. Remember, not producing ESG reports is bad, but it's even worse if you produce reports with inaccurate data. If you get caught, your reputation will suffer greatly, and you will face situations where you won't simply take data and stick it in a report. Based on the metric, someone with more authority or knowledge may need to validate the data.
And software can really help with that.
Yes, because manual processes can create risks of human error, and that could lead to ESG reports with inaccurate data. But ESG software systems like Enablon offer configurable and automated workflows that ensure data is properly reviewed, validated, and approved by qualified people.
I see. Well, yeah, software can really make a big difference. So Gigi, what is the third and final ESG data management tip that you want to share?
The final tip is to map key metrics to stakeholders. As part of your ESG efforts, you need to identify your stakeholders. They could be institutional investors, insurance companies, financial firms, and so on. Here's where things can get complex. Suppose you produce a SASB report, and there are 7 stakeholders who will receive your SASB report. 3 of them may look at the entire report, but the other 4 may only be interested in 5 specific metrics. That's it. They won't care about what standard you use or about other metrics. They only want to know more about the 5 metrics.
And are the 5 metrics the same for everyone?
Not necessarily, and that is why mapping metrics to stakeholders is so important. Let's suppose there are 4 institutional investors, and each is interested in 5 metrics only. The set of 5 metrics may not be the same for each of the institutional investors. You need to know what each is interested in specifically.
So you need to really identify somewhere the key metrics that each of the stakeholders cares about.
Exactly, and this also allows you to better focus your ESG efforts. If you have 10 key stakeholders and 9 are interested in your water usage, then you know that's an area where you must be good because that's where people are looking.
And mapping key metrics to stakeholders is also something that can be greatly facilitated with an ESG software platform.
Yes, a leading ESG software platform would include a stakeholder management module.
So JG, should we summarize these 3 tips one last time?
Sure. So in this video, we shared 3 ESG data management tips. 1, automate data quality checks. For air emissions data, you could have millions of data records, which is why you need automated checks. 2, automate data approval workflows. Emails or manual processes can introduce the risk of human error. 3, map key metrics to stakeholders. You need to document somewhere who is interested in what.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing the ESG data management tips. And thank you all for watching Expert Talks. Stay tuned for more insights on ESG and sustainability topics.